Welcome back to the Stan Simpson Show. Our topic is the future of Hartford and restoring public trust at City Hall. Here now with Councilman Ken Kennedy, Councilman Luis Cotto, Eddie Perez, convicted, Mayor of Hartford. Big story. Everyone's still buzzing about it. Your reactions? I know you guys were following this thing very, very closely. Your thoughts, and where do you stand now, and what happens with the city?
My reaction on the day that the verdict was announced was basically tragedy, human tragedy, very unfortunate. Bad day for the city. You wish it hadn't happened. You
were not a big fan of the mayor, so even with that, you felt bad for him. Family?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the mayor, but you don't wish ill, I don't think, on anyone, and particularly for his family. Families don't ask to get in politics. It's the individual that's involved in public life. And this is obviously going to have a very devastating effect on his family. So, yeah, I felt for him as a human being, not as a political rival or someone I've had disagreements with.
Now, you've been an adversary. Did you ever feel that he was corrupt?
I started my own investigation in 2003 within the school building committee. I don't know if anyone remembers that. And some things I thought were inappropriate about the school building committee and the awarding of contracts even at that point in time.
Some shady deals?
Things I didn't consider that weren't done appropriately.
Okay.
And went forward with that. Didn't eventually kind of close down. The school board actually wasn't very cooperative at that point in time. I requested contracts and that type of thing, and they sent me to different buildings. I would go to that person. I'd go downtown. They tell me, no, I need to go over to this school.
So you're getting stonewalled. You're getting run around.
I was getting run around, and I thought that was intentional on the part of the administration. Remember, they once asked me to pay over $500 for documents.
Right. You had your problems with having access, having a transparent administration.
Correct.
Luis Cotto, fairly new on the council. Your thoughts on this whole ordeal?
I'll echo what Councilman Kennedy said. I think whether you're a supporter or detractor, it was a sad day, and it's a sad moment right now.
Where were you on the spectrum, supporter or detractor?
You know, I don't consider myself any. I came in with Working Families Party, not without the blessing of, in this case, the Democratic machine of the city. We worked to get our 3,000 plus votes, and hence we didn't owe anybody anything when we came in. So I came in with my colleague Councilman Deutsch to do the work of the people, and we've done it. We've been at the tail end of some 2 to 7 votes. But a number of them. But I've worked well with the mayor. I've been a minority leader now since January, and he knows that I look at everything objectively, and in order to make these objective decisions, I need information. So,
is this an indictment of strong mayor? Let's remember the whole backdrop here. Eddie Perez comes into power, strong mayor. Everyone is clamoring for a mayor who can make decisions. Where do you go to City Hall for a decision? You finally give the mayor unilateral powers. And within 7 years, he's in cuffs. What do you do? What does this mean about strong mayor? Is it the wrong person, or should the government need to be tweaked, or is it an indictment on strong mayor?
I think it's a self-leveling thing. I'm a supporter of the strong mayor form of government. I voted for it, and I think there's this growing pains, because at the same time, I don't think the council anticipated such a strong backlash against its ability to work in consort with the administrative offices to do the work that needs to be done. And I think that's what you've seen from this administration going back to 6+ years. Ken can speak more to that. But I think, again, to go back to where we are now, the emotion of the time is gone, and now we're a $540 million corporation, and the machine still needs to keep moving, and I think Pedro Segarra coming in is going to help us level that off a little.
We'll talk about Pedro Segarra in 1 second. The strong mayor, the Abe Giles deal, the parking lot situation, right? There's an example where the mayor basically circumvented you guys on the council.
Correct. He
cut a deal with Abe Giles.
Correct.
No one really held him accountable. How do you change that? When Pedro Segarra comes in, I've got to figure that the first order of the day is to make sure you look through all the deals there, that there are no side sweetheart deals for people. Is that the case?
I would think that would have
would you guys push for that?
Of course we're going to push for. The question is, in the charter, how do you get that set up long term? Part of the symptoms that occurred from the charter was a reaction to the council manager form of government, and I think the pendulum shifted too far in the direction of strong mayor, not toward necessarily a balanced government. There has been, myself and others have pushed forward some charter reform, more of a tweaking of the system to try to make it a more balanced approach to government, because when you concentrate power absolutely in one individual, it's not surprising where you can end up and why you've had these incidents happen in other Connecticut cities. I think also some of it's the symptoms of the individuals you put in place. No matter how good your systems are and what design you create for your government, it is still the individuals that run and manage those systems. So you just can't necessarily blame strong mayor for what occurred.
You're saying blame the individual. It just seems that there's a pattern here of good people going in there with good intentions who become arrogant, whether it's Governor Rowland or Joe Ganim, that there's a pattern here where people go in, they're popular at some point, and at some point they begin to cut corners. Human nature to some degree, is that a character flaw or just sort of part and parcel of what happens when you have someone in office for a long time?
Human nature, also part of being in office a long time.
Luis.
I think it's, if anything, what this shows us is that society, what I like to think, is that society is tolerating less. I had a prominent member of the local Republican town committee reach out to me after the second arraignment and say, listen, I really feel bad for the guy because this is the type of stuff that used to happen all the time. And if this was business as usual, and we're saying as a society, no, this can't be business as usual, then I think it points, it's encouraging for us. And I think this compiled with state legislation regarding this whole pension thing, that's going to make somebody think twice before they become a career corrupt politician.
Well, you raise a very good point. The issue of patronage versus corruption. It seems that this case really speaks to that, because the issue with Abe Giles, truth be told, mayors have been taking care of Abe Giles for years, right? So if Eddie Perez is going to jail, a whole lot of mayors should be going to jail because Abe Giles was taken care of. To what degree do the lines blur between patronage and then corruption?
I think the point of the trial was not to relive those issues. I think the jury's already spoke to that. Is that it wasn't just the patronage, it's the interference that was run by government. It's when certain government actions should have taken place from an objective standpoint, and the administration came in to stop the actions from taking place. I mean, I'm talking about the bond and the work that was done in the home. I myself had a home renovation. I spent $180,000 on mine. I did kitchen and bath.
A lot of money, Ken.
Yeah, a lot of mortgages too. And it was, yes, I mean, you have to be careful not to employ people who are actually in the employ of the city or have something to gain from that. I think we all have to be kind of conscious of that as public officials, so that you avoid, even though there may not be any intention on anyone's part, you avoid even the appearance of impropriety.
Hold that thought there. When we come back, folks, we'll talk more with Hartford City Councilman Ken Kennedy and Luis Cotto about Hartford's future and restoring public trust at City Hall. Don't even think about going away.